All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to do something kind of cool. We're going to unbox the fundamental building blocks of, well, pretty much everything around us. So let's just dive right in. And believe it or not, it all starts with this number, 4. You could say it's like the secret code for some of the most common, most important shapes that literally build our world. We're talking 4 sides, 4 corners, and 4 angles. That's the magic formula.
And this right here, this is the granddaddy of our entire shape family, the quadrilateral. The name literally comes from the Latin for 4 sides, quator and latus. At its core, it's just any polygon with, you guessed it, 4 sides. Think of it as the parent category for every single shape we're going to talk about today.
Okay, so get this. Every single member of this family, no exceptions, shares one magic number, and that number is 360. The sum of all their inside angles always adds up to 360 degrees. It doesn't matter how you stretch it or squash it or skew it. If it's got 4 sides, those angles lock in at 360. Kind of cool, right?
All right, let's really get into it now. We're going to start with the biggest, most influential branch of this whole family tree. This is the one headed up by the parallelogram. And this is where things start to get really organized, really structured. So what's the one big rule for this part of the family? It's simple. You have to have 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel to each other. That's it. If you can spot that, 2 sets of parallel sides, you know for sure you're looking at a member of the parallelogram family. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Think of this as the parallelogram's DNA. These are the core traits that all of its descendants are going to inherit. Check it out. Opposite sides are equal and parallel, opposite angles are equal, and the diagonals, they slice each other right in half. These are the family rules, so definitely keep them in mind.
So the first child in this family is the rectangle. It gets all that parallelogram DNA we just talked about, but it adds its own special twist. It's a little bit of a perfectionist. It says all my angles have to be perfect 90-degree right angles. So yeah, it's basically a more orderly, squared-off version of its parent.
And this is a super important point, so listen up. Every single rectangle is a parallelogram, but not every parallelogram is a rectangle. Why? Because of that strict 90-degree rule. That's a special upgrade, and it has a cool side effect. It forces the diagonals to be the exact same length. That's a unique rectangle thing. Okay, next up we have the rhombus. It's another child of the parallelogram, but it goes in a totally different direction. It doesn't care about 90-degree angles. Instead, it's obsessed with its sides. It makes all 4 of its sides equal in length. You could call it the equilateral specialist of the family. And it's amazing how this one little change, just making the sides equal, creates a totally unique shape. Just like the rectangle, it has its own special side effect. It forces the diagonals to cross at a perfect 90-degree angle. So, same rule applies here. Every rhombus is a parallelogram, but most parallelograms aren't rhombuses.
Okay, so what do you think happens when a shape comes along that inherits the best of both worlds? What if it gets the perfect right angles from the rectangle and the equal sides from the rhombus? What happens when a shape just wants it all?
You get the family's overachiever, the square. It's got the 4 right angles, just like a rectangle. It's got the 4 equal sides, just like a rhombus. And this is the big aha moment, right? A square isn't just a square. It's also a rectangle, and it's a rhombus. It's the one shape that gets to be in all 3 clubs at the same time.
Okay, so we've spent a lot of time with the parallelogram family, but not every 4-sided shape plays by their rules. So now, let's meet a distant cousin, one that kind of broke away and decided to do its own thing. Let's talk about the trapezoid.
The trapezium, or trapezoid as it's sometimes called, is definitely a quadrilateral. It's got 4 sides, but it is not a parallelogram. Why? Because it breaks that main family rule. It basically says, you know what? I'm good with just 1 pair of parallel sides. Thank you very much. And just by having that 1 pair of parallel sides, the trapezium totally carves out its own unique identity. It's such a simple difference, but it changes everything about how it looks, and more importantly, how we measure it. It really sets it apart from all its more structured cousins. All right, so now that we've met the whole family, the organized parallelograms and the rebellious trapeziums, let's do something practical. Let's open up our quadrilateral toolbox and see how we can actually use these shapes to measure the world around us. And this isn't just about memorizing a bunch of formulas from a textbook. It's way simpler than that. It's a really straightforward process. And the best part, you don't need to know every single side length. You just need a couple of key measurements.
All you need is the length of one of the flat sides, we call that the base, and then you need the height, but not the slanted height, the straight up and down 90-degree perpendicular height. You multiply those two, and boom, you've got the area. For example, if a parallelogram has a base of 8 meters and its height is 5 meters, the area is just 40 square meters. It's really that simple.
And here it is. This is your high-value takeaway for the day, the ultimate cheat sheet. This slide pulls together all the formulas for every shape we've talked about. Check out the really clever one for the rhombus. It uses its diagonals. And the trapeziums formula averages its two parallel sides before multiplying by the height. Seriously, this slide right here is your key to unlocking the measurements of pretty much any quadrilateral you'll ever see. Okay, let's actually put that toolbox to work with a little challenge. We can use these formulas to work backwards, which is super useful. So if I tell you a square has an area of 64 square centimeters, what's the length of one of its sides? Remember, the area of a square is side times side. So what number times itself gives you 64? Exactly. We just work the formula in reverse. The opposite of squaring a number is taking the square root. And the square root of 64 is 8. So the side of the square has to be 8 centimeters long. See? You've got this. Simple as that. So this brings us to the big question, right? Why does any of this actually matter? Is this all just some abstract stuff for a math class? Absolutely not. I mean, look around you right now. These shapes are not just concepts on a screen. They are the literal foundation of the world we have built. The screen you're watching this on, that's a rectangle. The tiles on the floor, probably squares. The windows you look through, the pages of a book. Even the structures of bridges often use trapezoids for strength. They are hiding in plain sight, absolutely everywhere. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you walk around, see if you can spot them. See if you can identify the different members of this quadrilateral family holding our world together. Because you're not just seeing shapes anymore. You're seeing the invisible blueprint. You're seeing the elegant, simple, and incredibly powerful language of geometry that we use to build everything.